Under the cold silence of the galaxy, strange signals began to spread across distant listening posts. At first, they thought it was a collapsing star, some natural explosion that bent the space around it. The readings showed energy far greater than anything normal. But when telescopes focused on the source, what they saw froze even the most experienced observers. It was not a star. It was not a comet. It was not even an Empire's secret weapon. It was a ship. The object was massive. Darker than the space behind it, its outline only visible when distant suns reflected on its steel body. Its size was beyond anything recorded, larger than entire alien cities floating in space. The surface seemed to shift like a living thing, absorbing light. It did not move fast. It did not move at all. It only waited. For days, Empire sent scouts to investigate. The first scout ship entered the zone of silence and sent one final message. Approaching structure. Impossible scale. No known signature. Then the transmission ended. No explosion. No distress call. Nothing but silence. Another Empire sent 3 cruisers. Their sensors recorded fragments of data, strange patterns carved into the ships. Whole human markings mixed with symbols no one could understand. The cruisers circled closer, trying to scan deeper. One moment, the ships were alive. The next, their signals vanished, erased as if they had never existed. News spread quickly. Across the galaxy, fear grew. Every great power, every fleet commander, every council of leaders whispered the same words. The ship was human, but no one understood how. Humanity was known. Yes. Dangerous in their own way. Yes. But they were not a superpower. Their fleets were small, compared to empires that had ruled for thousands of years. Yet here was a human warship, something too strong to be allowed to exist. The great empires began secret meetings. Some demanded it be destroyed before it moved. Others argued it should be captured, studied, turned into a weapon for their own survival. None of them noticed that as they argued, the ship turned ever so slightly, its bow facing the inner galaxy. It was no longer just waiting, it was choosing its path. A lone observer station kept its telescopes locked on the object. The crew inside argued about what to call it. Some said it was a fortress, others said it was a prison. An old engineer whispered that it was a coffin, and whatever was inside should never be woken. His words unsettled the crew, but no one could disagree. Finally, after 2 weeks of silence, the ship transmitted. It was not a greeting. It was not an introduction. It was not even a demand. The signal was short, cold, and carried in every language known to the galaxy. Stay away. That was all. The message spread faster than fire across dry grass. Some empires panicked, sending fleets to their borders. Others prepared invasion forces. The smallest, the weakest, remembered how the scouts had vanished. They were wiser than the rest. They stayed silent at the edge of the mysterious warship. Another alien vessel approached, an arrogant captain of a rising power. His empire believed humans were bluffing. They believed the ship was a trick, maybe empty, maybe only half-built. They laughed at the warning, prepared their weapons. The galaxy watched through hidden eyes. The alien captain broadcast on open channels. He mocked the humans, said no warship, no matter how large, could stand against the might of the galaxy. Then he fired the first shot. A beam of energy crossed the void and struck the ship's dark surface. The void lit with fire, but the human warship did not move. When the light faded, the ship remained untouched. Not even a scratch showed on its armor. Seconds later, there was no explosion, no grand display. Just a single flash of light from the warship's side. The alien battleship vanished, not destroyed. Not broken, vanished. The space where it once existed was empty. Silent, cold, the galaxy trembled. Observers whispered what they had seen, voices shaking with disbelief. This was not ordinary power. It was something else, something older and sharper than any weapon in known history. And yet the warship had not chased, had not pursued. It had only given its warning and acted once. Still, fear spread like poison. Leaders could not sleep. Fleets prepared for war. The galaxy asked the same question over and over. Where did the humans get this ship? Did they build it? Did they steal it? Or did they awaken something that had been sleeping for longer than civilizations had existed? On Earth, silence reigned. Humanity said nothing. No broadcasts, no claims, no explanations. The warship remained alone at the edge of the galaxy, waiting like a shadow, watching. And as more empires gathered their fleets, as more spies tried to learn its secret, a dreadful truth began to form in the hearts of those who dared to imagine. The ship was not simply a weapon, it was a warning, and the galaxy had already ignored it once, under the shadow of countless stars. Fear spread like a storm. The galaxy could not stop talking about the human warship the mysterious vessel had erased. An entire battleship with a single strike, and yet it had not moved since. It floated at the edge of known space, silent and patient. As if waiting for something, every empire's leaders gathered in secret halls. Voices clashed in anger, suspicion, and dread. Some demanded that all fleets unite and strike at once before the ship became unstoppable. Others whispered caution, reminding them of the scouts who never returned. Of the captain who mocked the humans and was wiped away in a single heartbeat. The warnings were clear, but arrogance burned stronger than fear. In the middle of these debates, something changed. For the first time since its arrival, the warship spoke. A signal pulsed out, moving faster than light, spreading to every corner of the galaxy. It was not coded, not hidden, not complex. It was plain, it was sharp, and it was terrifyingly simple. One phrase, 2 words, stay away. Billions across countless worlds froze when the message arrived. The words echoed in every language, in every mind. Some dismissed it as a threat. Others felt it was something far darker, final warning before judgment. But the galaxy was never united. And fear, when mixed with pride, always leads to disaster. On the borders of the Zur Dominion, a fleet of 20 warships prepared for an assault. Their leader, High Commander Silith, was a warrior raised on conquest. To him, warnings were nothing, but tricks to frighten the weak. He declared that no human, no matter how clever, could frighten the Zur. His fleet launched into the dark. Their weapons primed to tear the warship apart. Billions tuned in through hidden channels. Across the galaxy, citizens whispered, would this be the end of the human ship? The Zur fleet approached with weapons armed. Damn don don don. They broadcast messages of victory, laughing as they drew closer. The warship did nothing. It remained still. It's dark. Hull swallowing the light of nearby stars. The Zur commander gave the order. 20 warships unleashed their firepower, enough energy to burn a moon into dust. The void exploded with light and heat, a storm of destruction smashing against the human vessel. Sensors went blind.
Observers shielded their eye.
For a moment, it seemed the impossible might happen. The warship might fall. But then the light cleared. The human warship remained untouched. Not a mark, not a scratch. The Zur fleet hesitated. Fear crawled through their ranks, though their commander shouted for them to fire again. But before they could prepare a second strike, the warship finally answered no sound. No flare, just silence, and then flash. One ship vanished, then another, then another. Each disappeared in the blink of an eye, erased without fire or wreckage. Within seconds, the Zur fleet was gone. All 20 warships, erased as if they had never existed. Across the galaxy, no one spoke. Silence spread across millions of worlds. The warship had not chased them. It had not gloated. It had not spoken again. It had only shown the truth. It had the power to end fleets in moments. But the most terrifying part was not the destruction. It was the control. The warship could have wiped the Zur instantly, yet it took its time, erasing them one by one, as if to prove a point. It was not rage. It was not blind fire. It was precise. It was deliberate. In the shadows of hidden councils, leaders trembled. They realized the truth. The human warship was not bluffing. It was not untested. It was something else. Something beyond Some whispered it was a weapon built in secret, a project hidden by humans while the galaxy laughed at their weakness. Others believed it was older than humans themselves, that the ship had been waiting, buried for millennia, and now awakened under human command. Whatever the truth, one fact could not be denied. The warship had spoken. The galaxy had ignored it. And now the galaxy was paying the price. Even as fear spread, strange new rumors appeared. Deep within human space, silent fleets were said to be gathering. Transmissions hinted that the warship was not alone. If true, it meant the galaxy was facing not one impossible ship, but many. And as the warship slowly began to move, leaving the edge of space behind, a shadow fell across the hearts of every living being. It was not heading away, it was not fleeing. It was entering the galaxy. The humans had given their warning. Now the question was, who would dare to ignore it next? Whispers filled the galaxy like smoke in a burning city. After the Xur fleet vanished without a trace, no one doubted the human warship's power anymore. But now a new fear spread. Where did it come from? How had humans, a young and restless species, built something so far beyond the reach of ancient empires? On trade stations, rumors spread faster than light. Some claimed the humans had discovered an old ruin, a secret left behind by a long-dead race. Others believed the warship was the product of forbidden science. Technology so dangerous that every empire had agreed to bury it forever. But there were also darker whispers. They said the ship was not built, was found in the shining halls of the Galactic Council. Leaders argued in panic. Holograms of alien rulers stood in a circle of light, their voices rising into chaos. One demanded immediate war. Another shouted that if humanity truly had such power, war would mean extinction. A third proposed an alliance with humans, but fear drowned his words. The council could not agree. Every empire thought of its own survival. Meanwhile, far from the council's chaos, spies worked in silence. Across human space, invisible ships crept near. They sought fragments of truth, any data to explain the impossible. One spy vessel recorded something strange. Deep scans of the warship's surface revealed not only human design, but also symbols older than human civilization itself. The hull carried markings that no current species could translate. They were curved, layered, and written in patterns. Resembling the archives of fallen empires, the spy captain stared at the images, cold fear crawling into his bones. If humans had built the ship, why would its surface be marked with ancient symbols, unless they had awakened something older? The spy tried to transmit his discovery, but his ship never returned. His last message was a broken whisper. Not human alone. Back on alien worlds, fear grew sharper. Historians searched dusty archives, comparing the images of the human warship to old records. In forgotten texts, they found fragments of warnings, stories of a machine, a fortress of steel that brought extinction wherever it drifted. Entire empires had once united to bury it. None had survived long enough to explain why. The description matched the warship perfectly. The galaxy trembled with the possibility. If the legends were true, humanity had not built their weapon. They had unearthed it. And yet, the humans remained silent. Earth sent no messages, no threats, no explanations. The warship did not reveal its purpose. It simply moved forward, its engines glowing faintly, slow but unstoppable. Like a predator in the deep sea, some smaller empires chose to flee. They abandoned border worlds, leaving them empty, preferring exile over confrontation. Others fortified every moon and station, building walls of firepower in hope of delaying the ship if it came their way. But the larger powers, drunk with pride, plotted in shadows. They dreamed of stealing the warship, of controlling it for themselves, in one dark chamber. A meeting took place between three great empires. Their plan was simple: send their best fleets together, trap the warship in a dead system, and overwhelm it with numbers. They believed no ship, no matter how strong, could fight against thousands. But even as they planned, their scientists studied the Xur battle recordings. The data showed something horrifying. The warship had not fired with full strength. Weapon had erased ships with the energy of a spark. yet its core held far more power than what was released. The destruction of the Zur was not a demonstration of strength, it was restraint. This truth spread quietly to the few who dared to believe it. The human warship was not fighting for survival. It was not fighting at all. It was showing patience, as if waiting for something greater. And then the warship changed its course. For the first time, its trajectory was clear. It was heading not toward human space, not toward alien capitals, but toward an ancient region. Of the galaxy, a place no empire dared to claim, the stars in that sector were old and dying, their light dim. In their center lay a vault, a hidden structure older than recorded history. The vault was said to contain the secrets of civilizations that had fallen long before the galaxy's current powers rose. No one entered that region. No one wanted to know what was buried there. But the human warship was moving straight toward it. Observers trembled. The galaxy's leaders stared at their maps in silence. What could possibly connect the humans, their impossible ship, and the vault of forgotten empires? No one knew. But one thing was certain: if the warship reached its destination, the galaxy would learn the truth. And truths, once uncovered, could not be buried again. In the darkness of the void, the warship's engines burned softly. It moved with purpose. With silence, with shadows of the past written across its steel, it carried secrets no one yet understood. Secrets powerful enough to terrify the galaxy, and still. The humans said nothing. The galaxy held its breath. The galaxy could not stay silent any longer. The human warship was no longer waiting at the edge of space. It was moving with steady purpose, and its path led straight toward the ancient vault that no empire dared to touch. Fear turned into desperation. The great powers, once too proud to unite, now gathered their fleets. 3 empires, bitter rivals for centuries, decided to fight side by side for the first time. Not because they trusted each other, but because the alternative was worse. If the humans reached the vault, no one knew what they might unleash in the hidden halls of strategy chambers. Admirals drew plans with trembling hands. They had thousands of ships, enough to crush entire civilizations. Their weapons were powerful enough to burn planets. And yet every officer who looked at the battle maps felt the same shadow pressing down on them. Against the human warship, even 1,000 ships might not be enough. Still, they had no choice. At the edge of a dead star system, the trap was set. Fleets gathered in silence, their hulls gleaming with cold light. From carriers to destroyers, from missile barges to dreadnoughts, the combined armada floated in wait, hidden among the remains of broken asteroids.
Ow.
Their engines were silent, their weapons primed, and then the warship arrived. It entered the system slowly, as though it already knew the ambush was waiting. Its vast body glided across the void like a predator walking into a cage. No fear, no hesitation, the commanders of the Allied fleets exchanged signals. It was time. The trap closed. Thousands of ships lit the dark with fire. Beams of energy, torpedoes, railgun slugs, antimatter warheads, all unleashed at once, converging on the single target. The void turned into a storm, a burning sea of destruction that lasted for minutes. Even the dead stars seemed to glow from the fury unleashed. When the light faded, sensors strained to pierce the smoke of space. For a moment, hope spread through the fleets. Perhaps they had done it. Perhaps the impossible had fallen. But then the warship emerged. It was untouched. Not a scar, not a fracture, not even a ripple across its surface. Its dark armor seemed to drink the fire, to absorb the destruction as though it had been nothing. More than rain against steel, panic rippled through the Allied fleets. Officers shouted, crews trembled, but the admirals barked orders to fire again. Wave after wave of firepower hammered the warship, but the result was the same. Nothing touched it, nothing broke it, and then the warship responded. Its weapons did. Not roar with rage, they whispered with precision. A single beam of light cut across the void, silent and sharp. One dreadnought vanished, its hull evaporated before it could scream. Another flash, another ship gone, then another. The galaxy watched through hidden eyes. Billions tuned in, their hearts pounding as ship after ship was erased from existence. The human warship did not waste energy. It did not strike wildly. Each attack was exact, cutting down the largest threats while leaving smaller vessels drifting helplessly. It was not war, it was surgery. Within minutes, hundreds of ships were destroyed. The survivors scrambled in panic, breaking formation, trying to flee, but the warship ignored most of them. Only disabled engines, leaving vessels floating powerless. It was almost merciful, but the precision only made the galaxy more afraid. The admirals of the three empires realized the truth too late. The human warship was not fighting at full power. It had endured the full strength of their combined fleets without a single mark, and now it was dismantling them piece by piece. As if to prove a point, a surviving captain sent a desperate message before his ship was disabled. His voice trembled as he spoke into the void. It's not trying to win. It's holding back. It's not even fighting seriously. The transmission spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every empire heard it. Every leader understood what it meant. The warship was too strong to be defeated by numbers, too advanced to be touched by the greatest weapons of the age. The humans were not showing their full strength. They were showing restraint, and that truth terrified the galaxy more than the battle itself. When the confrontation ended, the warship continued its path, gliding past the wreckage of thousands of ships. It did not stop to finish them. It did not gloat. It simply moved on, silent and steady, heading toward the vault of forgotten empires. The galaxy had seen its greatest powers broken. Armadas meant to burn stars had been dismantled like children's toys. The warship had not been slowed now. Every empire asked the same question. If this was the warship holding back, what would it look like if it fought with all its strength? And as the warship's shadow fell deeper into the galaxy, one dreadful thought spread across every world. Perhaps they had made the wrong choice by trying to stop it. Perhaps it had never come to fight them at all. The wreckage of three mighty armadas drifted in silence. Thousands of ships lay shattered, powerless, their crews stranded in fear. Yet the human warship did not stop, passed through the ruins like a ghost, unharmed, untouched, unstoppable. Across the galaxy, no one slept. The questions spread faster than light. What power drove the human vessel? No known engine, no known shield, no known weapon could explain its strength. Entire universities worked day and night, tearing through ancient archives, desperate to understand what humanity had awakened, and then discovery was made in the vaults of the Aerith Dominion. A scholar uncovered fragments of forgotten law, old treaties signed by empires long vanished. The words were carved in stone, written in the languages of species that no longer existed. It was a ban, a promise made by civilizations ages ago. Certain sciences were never to be touched again. One of them was called the Forbidden Engine. The records were incomplete, but they described a technology that bent the very bones of reality. Not an engine of fuel and fire, but an engine that drank from the void itself. It consumed dark matter, twisted gravity, and pulled strength from dimensions no living mind could fully understand. The treaty said that every empire that tried to master it was destroyed. The engine could not be controlled. It always consumed its makers in the end. The description matched the human warship perfectly. At first, leaders denied it. They told their people it was impossible, that the humans were clever, but not reckless enough to play with ancient fire. Yet the signs were everywhere. The ship's movement ignored normal physics. Its weapons cut space with silence, as though they were not blasts, but corrections to reality itself. Even its shields were wrong. They did not deflect attacks. They swallowed them, drinking energy like water into an endless well. It was the forbidden engine, and somehow the humans had brought it to life. But the greatest terror was not that the humans had built it. Scholars found markings, old patterns carved into the warship's hull. They were older than Earth, older than the species who now ruled the stars. Humanity had not created the engine. They'd uncovered it. They'd learned to guide it. The galaxy. shivered at the thought. What if the humans were not controlling the warship? What if the warship was controlling them? In the chambers of the Galactic Council, leaders screamed at one another. Some demanded immediate war to end humanity before they grew stronger. Others argued it was already too late. The forbidden engine could not be undone. If they tried to destroy it and failed, it would end them all. Meanwhile, aboard research stations near the ruins of the destroyed fleets, survivors whispered what they had seen. They spoke of strange vibrations in their ships before being disabled, a low hum that shook their bones. Some described visions and images of stars collapsing, of entire galaxies swallowed by shadows. The survivors swore the visions were not dreams. They came from the warship itself. Fear grew darker. On Earth, no explanations came. The humans sent no messages. They issued no demands. Their silence was worse than threats. It meant they did not need to speak. The warship itself spoke louder than words ever could, and then the ship's course became clear. It was no longer drifting aimlessly. Its path led straight to the ancient vault at the center of dying stars. The Forbidden Vault, sealed by empires millions of years ago. The place where all records said the Forbidden Engine was first created. Why was the warship going there? To recharge? To awaken something else? To open what had been buried? No one knew, but panic spread. If the warship reached the vault, the galaxy feared it would not just be humanity with one impossible ship. There could be more, a desperate alliance. Formed, smaller empires begged the great powers to act. Even rivals who hated each other agreed. The warship must never reach the vault. Plans for another great fleet began, even larger than the last. Scientists raced to find weaknesses. Every attempt to understand the engine ended in failure. The technology was too strange, too alien. One scientist left a final note before vanishing. His words shook everyone who read them. This engine does not run on power, it runs on sacrifice. Someone is always consumed. The galaxy did not want to believe him. But deep in their hearts, leaders felt the truth. Humanity had not found a miracle. They had unleashed a curse, and still, the warship moved forward, silent, relentless, guided by humans who gave no explanation. The stars dimmed as it passed, as though space itself bent in respect or fear, and as billions watched with held breath. Only one question mattered now. If this was the power of a single forbidden engine, what would happen if the humans found another? The warship moved with unshaken purpose, its course cutting through the heart of dead stars and broken systems. Every telescope, every sensor in the galaxy watched it drift closer and closer to a place no empire dared to enter. The vault. For millions of years, it had remained untouched. No empire claimed it. No explorer returned from it. It was said to be a grave, a prison, a library of death, a structure built not to preserve life, but to record its ending. And now the human warship was heading straight for it. Fear spread like fire across the galaxy. The forbidden engine had already proven too strong. Fleets had been erased, armies humbled, and still the ship moved forward, silent and patient. Now, the thought that humanity might unlock what was hidden inside the vault drove leaders to madness. Admirals demanded immediate attacks. Priests declared the end of days. Scholars begged their rulers not to interfere, warning that the vault was sealed for a reason. But the galaxy had already failed once to stop the humans. This time they could do nothing but watch. When the warship arrived, the vault revealed itself. It was not a planet nor a station. It was a colossal structure carved into the skeleton of a dead star, its surface blackened by age. Vast walls of stone and steel reached out like claws, surrounding a hollow core where light could not enter. The vault seemed alive, pulsing faintly, with energy that should not exist after so many ages. The warship slowed as it approached. Its dark hull reflected the dying glow of the star's remains, like a beast staring into its own reflection. For the first time since its arrival in the galaxy, the ship's silence felt different, not threatening, but irreverent. And then the vault opened across the galaxy. Billions of watchers leaned forward in fear and awe. massive gates untouched. For millions of years, groaned as they shifted. Dust and debris poured into space as cracks of light spread across the ancient walls. The soundless void carried no noise, but in the hearts of every living being, it felt like the universe itself was screaming. Inside the vault, records awoke. Holograms of civilizations long gone flickered into existence. Their words, their final messages, their warnings filled the dark. Empires once mighty spoke of their downfall, their voices trembling even after death. Each recording told the same story. They had all discovered the forbidden engine. They'd all tried to use it, and they had all been destroyed. Some were wiped out in fire. Others vanished into silence. A few simply collapsed, consumed by the very engine they thought they commanded. The galaxy now understood why the vault was built. For knowledge too dangerous to exist? It was a tomb for every species foolish enough to try, and the human warship matched the descriptions exactly. The black hull, the markings of ancient power, the endless hunger of its engine. Humanity had not built a weapon, they had awakened one. Among the recordings, one final message appeared. It was older than any other, spoken in a voice no translator could fully grasp. The being's image flickered with age, its body strange and long forgotten. Its words were broken, but the meaning cut through clearly. This ship was made to fight what comes. If you claim it, you claim its curse. If you guide it, you guide your doom. You wear the shadow beyond the stars. The engine does not serve it. Chooses. The warship drifted deeper into the vault, as if searching for something. Its hull glowed faintly, responding to the ancient structure's call. Symbols on the vault's walls lit up, matching the markings carved into the warship. It was not chance. They belonged together. The galaxy trembled. Some leaders fell into despair, believing humanity had doomed them all. Others prepared new fleets, convinced they could still seize the ship and bend it to their will. But none dared move too close. They had seen what happened to those who challenged it, and then the vault gave its final gift. The warship absorbed something vast, something unseen. A surge of energy rippled across the system, dark waves bending starlight, breaking sensors. Shaking worlds light years away, planets felt their tides shift. Moons cracked under invisible weight. For a brief moment, every living being in the galaxy felt a presence pressing against their minds. And then, silence. The warship emerged from the vault. It was no longer just a weapon. Its hull gleamed with power older than civilizations. Its engine burned brighter. Its shadow stretched farther. Whatever it had taken, whatever secret it now carried, it had grown stronger. The galaxy's fear deepened into terror, because the recordings made one truth certain. No species that ever claimed the forbidden engine survived, and humanity had just claimed more than one. The galaxy had watched in silence as the human warship left the vault of extinction. But silence never lasts. The rulers of great empires gathered in secret councils, their voices low, their hearts trembling. The warship was no longer just a weapon, it was now something else, something bound to powers older than their oldest gods. And in that fear, betrayal was born. They could not destroy the warship in open battle. They had tried once, and their fleets had been erased in fire. But if they could not face it directly, perhaps they could break it from within. So the galaxy made a choice. Envoys cloaked in honeyed words sent messages toward Earth. They offered peace, alliances, and gifts. They told humanity they admired their courage, their rise from a single world to a force that even ancient engines obeyed. But beneath their false kindness, their plans grew darker. They wanted to lure humanity into trust. And once trust was gained, knives would follow. On Earth, leaders debated the sudden change. Same voices that had cursed humanity now spoke of friendship. Old enemies offered treaties. The galaxy's largest empire even promised to share technology it had kept hidden for centuries. Many humans doubted such generosity, but others argued that peace was worth the risk. After all, hadn't war cost enough? But the warship, though. Forbidden engine remained silent, did not turn toward Earth. It did not acknowledge the offers of peace. It waited in the black between stars, as though it already knew what was coming, and then the betrayal began. Far from Earth, hidden in nebulae and dead systems, fleets assembled. Thousands of ships, armed with weapons, forbidden by treaties and built in secret for centuries, moved into position. Their commanders spoke of saving the galaxy, of destroying the human threat before it consumed them all. But in their hearts, they dreamed of something darker. They did not only want to kill the humans, they wanted the warship for themselves. The betrayal began with whispers. Human colonies at the edge of space received strange messages, telling them to surrender their allegiance or face destruction. Ouch. Stations fell silent, their lights extinguished. At first, Earth thought it was the work of pirates or raiders. But then, a fleet revealed itself. They struck without warning, a human colony world. Bright with oceans and cities, saw fire rain from the skies. Massive orbital bombardments shattered its defenses in minutes. The invaders were not pirates, they were soldiers, united from a dozen alien races, fighting under one banner. The coalition of survival, they called themselves, but to humanity, they were betrayers. The war reached Earth's colonies faster than leaders expected. Worlds burned, trade routes broke apart, and fear spread. Humanity had always fought wars among themselves, but this was different. This was not a single empire, not a single enemy. This was nearly the entire galaxy turning against them, and yet betrayers underestimated what they had awakened. For every colony that fell, another rose in defiance. Human warships, though, fewer in number, fought with fury the galaxy had never seen. Soldiers who had once been farmers and miners turned into warriors overnight. Entire planets swore oaths of vengeance, their voices echoing across the stars. But still, the betrayal grew worse, at last. Earth itself was threatened. The coalition assembled its greatest fleet in secret, 30,000 ships armed with weapons, designed not to fight, but to erase. Their leaders believed that if they could reach Earth and destroy humanity's homeworld, the humans would shatter. Without Earth, the warship would be theirs to claim, or so they believed. But as their armada prepared, something happened that none expected. The warship moved. For weeks, it had drifted silently, ignoring every message, every battle. But when Earth came under threat, it stirred. Its engines roared like the heartbeat of a god. Its hull shimmered with power stolen from the vault. It turned toward the betrayers. The galaxy had planned to strike humanity from the shadows. Now they faced the very weapon they had hoped to steal. The warship did not attack immediately. It hovered at the edge of the coalition's armada, black against the stars. Its silence was worse than fire, worse than death.
Ow.
Every commander felt its gaze upon them, heavy and suffocating. And then, for the first time, the warship spoke not in words, but in action. A single beam of impossible energy cut across the void. 30 ships vanished in an instant, erased so completely that no wreckage remained. The fleet panicked, formations broke, orders were lost in screams. And then the warship moved again, faster than anything they had seen. Tearing through their lines like a shadow of extinction, the betrayal had been revealed. And the galaxy learned its mistake. They had not united to destroy a monster. It had united to create one. The galaxy was burning. Wherever the coalition's fleets marched, fire followed. Colonies crumbled, stations broke apart, and stars became graveyards of wrecked ships. Billions prayed for salvation, but none came, except for one, the human warship. It had been silent for too long, a ghost drifting through the void. But now it moved with terrifying purpose, hunting the fleets that had betrayed Earth. It was no longer just a weapon. It had become judgment itself. Across systems, survivors whispered its name. Some called it the Forbidden Engine. Others called it the Ghost of Extinction. But to humans, it was something else. It was their shield, their vengeance, their final hope. When the coalition's armada struck Earth's defenses, the warship answered. Its weapons cut through ships like light through glass. Entire battle groups vanished before commanders could even give orders. Panic swept through the betrayers, but still they pressed forward, believing that sheer numbers would bury humanity. But numbers did not matter anymore. The warship was not a machine of the present tit, was a relic of something older, something built by hands lost to time. Its hull absorbed fire, its shields bent reality itself, and its engines carried the weight of forgotten empires. The galaxy had once sealed it away for a reason. Now they remembered why. Still, the humans fought beside it. Fleets from Earth, battered and outnumbered, refused to retreat. Pilots rammed their ships into enemy carriers rather than surrender. Soldiers on the ground turned ruins into fortresses, holding against impossible odds. For every world that fell, 10 more voices swore vengeance. Humanity had become what the galaxy most feared, a cornered predator. And predators do not forgive. The battle for Earth lasted 3 days. On the first day, the sky turned red with fire. On the second, the oceans boiled with debris. On the third, silence fell because the betrayer's fleet was gone. Not broken, not scattered, gone. The warship had erased them. No wreckage drifted. No survivors escaped. 30,000 ships had entered orbit. None remained. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than war. Empires that had joined the betrayal now trembled. They had thought themselves saviors, protectors of life. But what they had done was far darker. They had woken something they could, not controlled, and now one question haunted them. Would the humans forgive? The answer came soon. Human fleets no longer fought only in defense. They struck back. Worlds that had raised fleets against Earth now faced the same fire they had unleashed. Great capitals that had stood for millennia saw human banners planted in their ashes. The galaxy begged for peace. But humanity had heard those lies before, and above every battlefield, the warship moved silent, endless, unstoppable. It chose. No words, no negotiations, no mercy. Only destruction. But then, something changed. On the edges of the galaxy, deep beyond charted stars, the warship stopped. It powered down its weapons. Its engines fell silent. And for the first time, it transmitted a signal. Not to the galaxy, to the betrayers, only to Earth. The message was simple. The cycle must end, or all will fall. Scholars argued over its meaning. Some said the warship carried within it not just weapons, but memories of civilizations before humanity, civilizations that had risen, betrayed each other, and burned. Perhaps it had seen this all before. Perhaps it knew how the story always ended. But others believed something darker, that the warship was never meant to protect, only to purge. That it had waited, hidden for eons, for one race desperate enough to unleash it. And once unleashed, would not stop until silence returned to the stars. The galaxy held its breath. Empires sent desperate pleas to Earth. Some surrendered. Others promised tribute, others swore loyalty. But the humans, too, were divided. Should they continue the war until no betrayer remained? Or should they listen to the warship's warning that if the cycle continued, even humanity would one day burn? In the end, it was not generals or politicians who chose. It was the warship itself. Without warning, it vanished. Not destroyed, not stolen, simply gone. One moment it loomed above the stars, the next it slipped into the void, beyond charts, beyond time, leaving behind only silence. The galaxy rejoiced, believing the nightmare was over. But humanity knew better. The warship had not abandoned them. It was waiting for the next betrayal, waiting for the cycle to begin again. And in that silence, one truth spread across every world, carved into every memory. The warship was not humanity's weapon. Humanity was the warship's choice, and choices have consequences.